why appraisers say we have targets on our backs. So there was a 2002 appraisal survey done by NAR, the National Association of Realtors. A survey of more than 600 appraisers and 2,500 residential real estate professionals was conducted back in May. Now, only 3% of people polled, Nicole, report witnessing or experiencing discrimination in the appraisal process. Okay. However, 16% say they believe such discrimination does exist despite not seeing it personally. Property's owner, race, or color is the most likely catalyst for appraisal bias, but the survey respondents say an appraiser valued a home at 1/3 less than the actual value after meeting the homeowner. This is just one respondent, so that's a one-off. That's not an overwhelming consensus from this survey. Okay. Let's go through. Let's show it on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. Hit the thumbs up if you're on YouTube. Let's show this chart, and we'll go through it if you're listening. In the past year, what have been the greatest challenges in your business? Please choose the top 4, and we'll give you the percentages. So appraisal management companies came in at 54%. So 54% of respondents said appraisal
their boss,
management
pretty much.
companies. Yeah, their boss.
Their boss is the biggest problem.
Maybe it was a real estate, because remember, real estate agents were in this study, and they're just saying, hey, I can't get what I need out of these appraisal management companies. Now we know, we've cited banks that have said, hey, this is the number one issue we hear from agents. It's the number one issue we hear from the industry is appraisals. Okay. Number 2, expanding regulations, interpretation of the regulations. That's 30%. Number 3, Nicole, and I want your take on this. At 27%, pressure from real estate agents / brokers.
What do you want my opinion on?
Any credibility there to that?
I can't even imagine. Unless they're like showing up and like what?
They're getting pressure to come in at a certain number. I don't think a knife.
But it's interesting though, because I can see there being pressure though on the other side. Like, when are you going? When are you going to get there? How fast will you turn this over? Why haven't you handed it in yet? Like, I see more of the pressure on that side, because I know that I've done that before, where you're bothering somebody to get the actual appraisal in. I don't know that. I'd like to think that no one's actually putting the heat on them at the actual appraisal.
You don't believe that there are any agents? Let's be fair here.
I 100% believe that there are agents that are putting the pressure on. Yes. But in this situation, I feel like the pressure may be coming from on the back end. Like, when are you coming? How quickly can you get it in? Because again, there was a time at the peak of all of this that I swear to you, appraisals were taking, 2-3 weeks, or they have, I think, 14 days or to get them back in. So if you're really up against the clock and you put a 30-day close on there, that could really hinder a closing for sure.
You believe the pressure is more time related, not hitting the number related. You're letting the number fall where it may. I believe there's pressure from all different
I'm sure there's pressure there too. I feel like within the last 2 years, I don't know that many people were worried about the number coming in.
But now
maybe.
Now they would be, for sure.
Yeah.
In the comments, what's your interaction with an appraiser? How are you help navigate them to get to a certain number or get the appraisal back on time? What's your communication look like with appraisals? So number 4 was fee pressures, 27%. So like the pressure from agents and brokers, fee pressures, 27%. We know, hey, right now it's expensive to buy a home. If interest rates keep rising, which they are in this environment, where else can a buyer save money? Well, can I get a cheaper appraisal? That's certainly going to be, and they have to go out to the property. There's probably not many more corners in appraisers' defense that they can cut. So appraisers, I hope you hear I'm being completely fair on this one.
Completely.
High demand for appraisals.
Truth.
26%.
Yes.
Especially the last 2 years.
For sure.
Big demand. Liability concerns.
Yep. I mean, potentially, right? They're saying that it is, right? Are you looking for me to have like an opinion on each of these? Is that?
I'd like you to jump in because I am dying of something in my throat. So if you could jump in and read the rest of these, that'd be great.
Yeah, liability concerns is at 24%. Lender requirements are at 23%. adapting to changes in the market at 17%. See, I think I'm surprised that one isn't a little bit higher on the list, especially within the last 2 years. I mean, changing to the market. And I guess then that would then cause the pressure. But appraisal challenges is 15%. Barriers to communication with lenders at 13%.
That's a big one.
Yep. Allegations of bias or discrimination in appraisal is 12%. So it is popping up here. Appraisal disputes at 11%. I feel like I've never been in a situation where I've put an appraisal dispute in and then the appraiser has actually changed it. Have you?
No, I've gotten another appraiser in, gotten rid of that appraisal altogether,
Okay.
and
So clearly you were
it's
maybe
been
swapping
changed.
banks and stuff. Like that's what
No,
you're
same
doing?
bank, but just kicking and screaming like a wild man.
Well, that's your favorite thing actually probably in the world to
So
do.
sometimes what's best for the client is what's best for the client. Now, maybe if it's your own deal, you don't do that.
No. Well, but the buyer technically is the one that has to put the dispute in.
Right.
Yeah. So, COVID restrictions is at 8%, pressure from sellers is at 6%, increased use of technology is at 5%, pressure from buyers is 4, access to training and education is 3, formulary approach is 2, and then bias discrimination in the transaction is 1, and then other. I wonder what all the others are. 14%.
Yeah. Could be anything.
That's a pretty big number
Everybody's
there.
got their own gripe. So if there wasn't something on this list, so in the comments, you tell us in the past year what have been the greatest challenges in your business as it relates to the appraisal process. We gave you all the major ones. Is there something else? Is it bias? You tell us what have been the greatest challenges. Nicole, anything else with appraisers that wasn't listed here for you that's a significant challenge we're facing right now?
No, I mean, again, I would put the time, but again, that would be pressure. That would be again, I no, there's nothing on here that I would add. No.
Getting it back quickly, or like right now.
Yeah. Again, I mean, I was even having problems where it was actually sort of like the reverse. Like appraisers weren't taking the appraisal because the bank wasn't offering them enough money. So there was, and I don't know that I would put that under fee pressures, but they also were being worked so hard that they were able to say no. So whether that was a pressure or not, I don't know, because obviously they didn't feel the pressure to take all of the appraisals, but
It does matter. So right now, and I've referenced this on the pod before,
yeah,
I'm selling my Connecticut house because I can't Airbnb it, and I'm buying another one.
yeah,
Nicole is my
yep.
agent on the purchase, and now my agent on selling the house. I was selling it off market.
And you were a terrible agent.
Well, I wasn't. There was no agents. I was selling it off market.
Well, I know, but that's the problem. Again,
All right,
that's why you hire agents.
let me get into that really quick. So I actually went against my own advice. I always say you got to test the market. You're going to get the highest price possible.
Mhm.
I was like, in this shifting market, I'm already setting a record. Should I just sell it off market? It'll be easier. I'll
Mhm.
avoid, some expenses, this and that and the other thing. Well, now you're kind of wrapped into that audience of one. And when you
Yep.
have a real idiot as your buyer, which
Mm.
is what I had,
Right. Mhm.
you're now dealing with all this, like trying to wiggle out of different arrangements in the deal. So we terminated that deal, put it on the open market, sold it in a couple of days. A great buyer, a great
Yep.
agent on the other side, Nicole being a great agent. Never go against your advice, which is my own advice. Test the market, because you're going to find that what could there possibly be that one buyer who's the perfect match, who has been looking for exactly what you're selling today in the market and who's willing to pay the price that you're asking. Of course, they could be that buyer in the market right now, but you have to market to him or her. You have to
Right.
get it out in the open market. You have to create competition. How I went against my own advice, it's blasphemy. It's insane. I can't believe I did that. And so we go out, we get a great deal, we get a
Mhm.
great buyer. But the only
Great.
concern I had going back to this appraisal situation
Was
is
the
he's
appraisal.
like, hey, I'm going to close in 30 days. I'm like, well, how are they going to get the appraisal done?
Right.
Inspection, we get the resale, package with it being an HOA, and then they're going to get an appraisal done too. Nicole says, "Hey, we're working with so and so on the other side. We know she's a great agent. You've worked with her a bunch.
Yeah.
She's a deal maker. She knows her clients. She's not like just getting a client she doesn't know anything about. She's asking enough good questions. She knows that this buyer's like, it's everything I've been looking for. And oh, by the way, between that conversation, the conversation you had with the bank, it's this person has everything in. We're ready to go. We can order an appraisal immediately. And
Right.
that's when you can get an appraisal done in 30 days
Yeah.
when you're dealing with a mortgage done, a closing done rather, when you're dealing with a bank in 30 days. And the banks, like we've talked about Tomo a bunch, that figure out how to shorten this appraisal process. And granted, a lot of it's on the buyer, but if they have the buyer's information to begin with, maybe there's some type of technology where streamlines them getting the information over to them.
Right.
You might see appraisals happen a lot sooner.
Yeah.
I on to wrap up this article,
Yeah.
I would say appraisals have been pinched. I don't know if they've been unfairly, you know, a target put on their back unfairly. These articles that are in the Times and the Post exist for a reason. And the value of the entire appraisal process and how they're doing it can be debated. I'd still like to have that debate.
Mm-hmm.
So appraisers, if you're listening, I'd still like to do a BAM debate on that topic. But I will say, I feel for you in the sense that everything is getting pinched. It's all on your shoulders. And that certainly is an obstacle to the position that you're in. And I do recognize that. All right, before we go to racket number 2, let's talk about PropStream.
Oh,
Nicole,
you
you
don't
and
want to talk
I.
about the desktop appraisals? Like we're skipping that whole? I'm surprised.
Oh, you're right. All
You
right,
and
so
your graphs.
if you go down on this article, let's go back. Let's take a step back into racket number 1. And
Mm-hmm.
if you go into the article, which we'll link up like we always do in the show notes, there's another chart in here. How comfortable are you with the following? Desktop appraisals. 63% said very uncomfortable. 13%, 14% said neutral. 13% was between 1 and 3, which is 2, obviously,
Yeah.
between the very uncomfortable and the neutral. So not many are very comfortable, Nicole, with
Right.
desktop appraisals. Where do you
Mm-hmm.
sit on that?
Well, I mean, I sort of agree with them. I mean, there's so many things that you need to take into account, which you can only do when you get into the house. I mean, we were talking about this even was it last week or 2 weeks ago? Even with agents not seeing properties or companies that are buying properties without seeing them. There's certainly a value and there's certainly huge importance to being in the house. So I agree with them. I think too, part of the reason that they're probably feeling a little bit uncomfortable with these desktop appraisals is that it really may make them feel as though that they're on the chopping block too. So, um, it's interesting because I think that that may be part of the reason that they're feeling uncomfortable with it.
From an agent perspective in the comments, are you very uncomfortable, very comfortable, or neutral on desktop appraisals? Evaluations, non-appraisal opinion of value. So very uncomfortable, 55% of the survey said very uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So this is appraisers, right? So of course they're going to be very uncomfortable with non-appraisal opinion of value. You know what? This is where I got a problem with you appraisers. This is insane. Okay, 55% of you have a big problem. You're very uncomfortable with evaluations, non-appraisal opinions of value. Your appraisal is just an opinion of value. I'll take an agent in the marketplace who's working with buyers, working with investors, working with sellers in that market every single day, boots on the ground in that local market every single day over your appraisal and the documents and the papers and all the crap that you put together and charge for any day of the week. I'm taking that top agent who's in the game, their feel for the price, what the conversations they're having, the foresight they have on the market. I'm taking that every single time.
Your throat must be feeling better because
It's
before
not. I'm dying right
it was
now. That's
bothering
all.
you, and you were very sympathetic, like, almost, like, empathetic, like, I'd never, and now all of a sudden
It was
you're
the allergies that are
yeah? The allergies? The fall
allergies help
allergies?
with empathy. Okay,
Yeah, they
so
it's sounds
AV
like it.
AVMs, so these automated valuation methods,
Yeah.
45%
Very
very uncomfortable.
uncomfortable.
So
Yeah.
so I don't know, evaluations, they're basically saying they are more comfortable with AVMs than they are agent valuations. This is why people don't like you, appraisers in the real estate industry, when you make comments like that. Hey guys, appreciate you checking out this episode of The Real Word. If you want the full episode, go over to the Broke Agent YouTube. That's where we're hosting the full podcast. If you want to continue to see the segments broken out and the short clips, stay right here on the Real Word YouTube.